Yagami's gonna come across this one announcement from Joe Biden. He's gonna come on the big screen and he's gonna say, "If you do not vote for me, you are not black." And then Yagami, like, and the villain are both there. Yagami, he's like, he's gonna do his iconic Yagami scream. He's gonna be like,
Alright, so let's talk about Snake. So the Snake style is a Punisher counter based style. You do not deal that high of a damage, nor are you a combo based style unless we count concussions, but Snake does get a little bit better the higher heat you have. I would say that Snake's kit is relatively simple, at least once you get the hang of it and understand how the skills work. And because of how Snake is built, you should mostly be aggressive while also switching to defensive whenever you see the chance. Mastering this style is definitely trickier than most, mostly because of the sidestep movement, and you know, sidestepping in this game is a very big thing because you know, every style does it and usually they go very far, but Snake doesn't. So this could be a little bit tricky to most people, and that could definitely just screw your entire flow of how the style is supposed to work at its fullest. Against competitive players, this style can be pretty good, honestly. But at the same time, it can be really bad if you don't have the hang of it completely yet. But yeah, definitely at its peak, it's really good. So putting this style in the tier list, this tier list is from the Hitman showcase, and similar to what I said previously, I would say overall Snake definitely deserves an A tier, but I would definitely put it below Hitman just because it's harder to master, but it's not really a bad style whatsoever. Of course, you guys can give your input on whether or not you agree on this position for Snake, but now let's move on to the skills. So Snake S1 is actually a relatively simple skill as well. There's not much tech for this skill. It honestly just comes down to setting it up right, but usually to set it up right you have to dodge a few things, or you can just punish the usual, like, oh, this player is blocking too long, or oh, this player is countering, or oh, this player is running away in a certain direction. I would say that Snake has an advantage because the distance that you go forward with the skill is pretty good. I would say it's comparable to the Clinch S1, so you can definitely use it to pursue as long as you're within a acceptable range to use it. You should be careful with using the skill too, like, mindlessly, because if you miss, there is a few frames where you can get punished, so do be careful with that. Don't use it too frequently, or rather don't make it too predictable, and you should be fine. And yeah, that's all I can say for Snake S1. Next up we have Snake S1B. So this skill, it might be a little bit harder to land due to the distance because it is really small. You only take like a few steps while using the skill, so you have to be really close to land it. But I would say when you do manage to make it work, it is pretty good. But as long as you remain relatively aggressive, not completely defensive or like farther away, I should say, you should be fine. Though this skill can be blocked, although it is not punishable, but you know, it's gonna go on cooldown. And I suppose another issue aside from it being blockable is that if you're like me and you don't have the muscle memory to properly side dash to trigger it, one tip that I can give you guys to fix that is that you should focus on holding whichever key takes you to the right or left, to like strafe that direction. This should work for most camera types, so you know, free cam, shift lock, lock on, and trigger hold should be fine as long as you kind of do that, although it might be a little bit tricky if you're moving a lot, but that should help you guys with sort of getting the muscle memory on. Now we have Snake S2. This skill is also pretty self-explanatory. Because it's a counter, there's not much that I can say, but there are a few details that this counter has in specific that we are going to go into detail a little bit. It lasts longer than most counters, but also when you happen to land a counter, it doesn't go on cooldown until you miss it. So if someone doesn't hit the counter, it's going to go on cooldown, and it's also going to drain your heat. I suppose a good sort of trick you can practice to, like, you know, get those mind games really fresh, you can try holding block a lot and then in between trying to land your S2 skill. Since they have the same animation, some people are going to fall for it, or they're going to think you're using your skill too frequently. So that can be pretty good for people that are not paying attention too much or that are too paranoid. So yeah, use that to your advantage, give it some practice and whatnot, and you should be fine. Now as for Snake's S3, Snake S3 is a counter heat action as shown previously. It works similarly as other S3s that are counter heat actions. So you know, when you time it within the glow, if you get hit, you're gonna trigger the animation and you do the thing. But apparently, the duration for this counter is actually longer than most counter heat actions, similar to your S2. So you should definitely take advantage of that, because some people will definitely think it lasts less than it should and attack you for it. But aside from that, you should just try pressuring others while you're in heat mode, and you could eventually push people into hitting the heat action. But yeah, this is all the tips that I can provide for Snake style. Thank you for watching the video. I would appreciate likes, comments, subscribing, that is, if you want to see more, sharing the video as well, and yeah, I will see you guys next video. Alright, goodbye.